Live from the 607, it is the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking sports locally and nationally. Why don't you join in the conversation with the hashtag ODPH? Here we go. Welcome to a special edition of the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, hashtag ODPH podcast. I'm your host, Ken M. Joining me in studio this week is the one, the only, Padawan J.
Hello, hello, hello.
Also in studio, it's your coach, my coach, the coach, Coach Duffy.
What is going on?
And last but certainly not least, Parlay Points contributor. You can find his work on the ODPH website. It's Nostradogmus Edwin Fortunato.
How's everybody doing?
We're doing quite well, dog, I got to say, because it is NFL draft time.
Yay!
Is it that time already?
Oh, it is that time. It is one of the most wonderful time in sports because as fans of the NFL, this is the make or break moment that the season finally feels like it's beginning. I know we had free agency a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, but this is wonderful.
Say it's one of my favorite times of the year because I open a stopwatch with the first pick in the NFL draft and I time how long Roger Goodell's going to get booed for because I'm going to laugh hysterically.
Right. There's just certain moments that this provides a lot of hope to your team.
Optimism is in the air.
I'll say, by the way, I read earlier today the over-under right now is 39.5 seconds.
I would take that.
I actually saw a post that somebody said that he's going to get cheered because the South does things differently.
Maybe.
So that would be funny.
Well, it's going to be interesting because where is the draft being held?
Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville.
Right. So Nashville is playing host this year, and teams, like we keep saying, is providing a lot of hope to your franchise that this might be the players that get added to the roster that finally take them to the big game and the Super Bowl championship. So let's waste no more time. We're going to give you our picks of what every team should do in the top 10, followed by our picks for some sleepers later in the rounds, because really the draft is not done in day one. It's broken up 3 days. Obviously, Thursday night is round 1, and then Friday is rounds 2 and 3, followed by 4, 5, and 6 going into the weekend. So let us waste no more time looking at the current draft order. Number 1 pick goes to the Arizona Cardinals. New head coach, a lot of optimism in the desert. Pad, who do you think they are taking at number 1?
I think, Kyler Murray is probably my pick for who they're going to take because, well, they put Josh Rosen jerseys for 50% off, like before even the combine. I think they were maybe a little enamored with Josh Rosen and what he might have brought to the team last year. And it's kind of like, you see a toy advertised on TV when you're a kid. The toy looks really awesome. Looks like it can do a lot of things. Looks like a lot of fun. You save up your money, you save up your, allowance, and you save up all the lawns you mowed over the summer to get the thing, and you finally get it. And yeah, well, it's not as good as advertised.
Coach?
Yeah, I actually going the opposite route here. I know that they did put the jerseys on sale and everything, but I'm going with Bosa. Nick Bosa out of Ohio State for them. He's the number 1 overall ranked player pretty much on everybody's, draft board. I think that with the market kind of drying up for Rosen, just meaning that they have tried to trade him and they haven't been able to, I think selecting Kyler Murray with that first pick would be a bad look. For an organization that just took a quarterback in the first round last year. So I think they kind of ride it out one more year and wait to see what happens with him as far as that goes. With the new head coaching staff and everything, you want to put a guy in place that you're comfortable with, and obviously Kingsbury has been documented in saying that he does love Murray, but I think a lot of that was smokescreen. So I'm going to go with Bosa being the number 1 overall pick.
Dog?
I'm going to go with Bosa as well. I just feel... Just with the whole Rosen thing, it's just you don't know what's to believe or whatever. But it's kind of hard to take after you traded up to draft a quarterback in the first round, top 10 at least. It's kind of hard to start over again. So, and Bosa, Chandler Jones is getting a little older, so they certainly need the defensive help on the defensive line to counter all those good quarterbacks in the NFC West.
Yes, especially since Seattle has just re-signed Russell Wilson, so Jared Goff is in the Western Conference. It makes a lot of sense to do this. I mean, in San Francisco, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be coming back from injury, but Arizona has a lot of question marks right now. And I got to touch upon something Coach alluded to when he was breaking down his idea of who they were taking. Last year was a very quarterback-heavy class, and you can see the impact of the draft with the top pick with Cleveland, who went out on a limb and took Baker Mayfield.
And that's the other thing too, is that they were making it. I mean, when we did our draft show, we had you and I had said that Baker would be the guy.
Right.
Nobody's really saying that about Kyler Murray right now.
No, because there's a lot of question marks going in with Kyler. And it's not his playing ability, but when he was going back and forth, if he wanted to play baseball for the Oakland A's or he wanted to go play football, when it doesn't seem like his heart was committed at the time, that kind of brings up some question marks. Because with teams that are going to draft any players, especially in the first round, you want to know how committed they are to your organization and what value they're going to add to your team. And if they're not fully in and committed, it's very hard to really take them at such a high pick, because this is almost, you want to think the creme de la creme of players in the draft. The best players available are always in the first round. Not always the case, because as you look in the lineage of the draft, players have been taken later in the rounds, the 5th and the 6th, and look how they've turned out. I mean, Pat, you have to say about your favorite late round player?
Round 6, pick 199, Tom Brady.
Exactly. So it doesn't necessarily mean that if they're taken in the first round, they're going to be superstars in the future, but you definitely want to make the best impression with the best players available. And like we said, last year was quarterback heavy. Cleveland definitely made an impact. The Bills made an impact with Josh Allen. Sam Darnold went to the Jets, and Josh Rosen went to the Cardinals. Everybody was making moves to go get quarterbacks. So this year, with Arizona being the number 1 pick, I just don't see them taking Murray. I know it was the big rumor because the coaching staff was making comments last year about how great Murray was, and don't get me wrong, he is a great player, but I don't think that he fits what they need. I think they definitely need to add Nick Bosa to the lineup. Obviously, he, in my opinion, is the best player in the draft, coming from Ohio State. Defensive end, and as Dog was saying too, Chandler Jones is getting up there in years, and you want to have that defense shored up, especially with high-powered offenses being in the NFC West. So Arizona, that's a no-brainer for me. They're taking Bosa number 1. Looking at the number 2 pick, belongs to the San Francisco 49ers. Pat, who do you think they're taking there?
I think they're going to take Nick Bosa just because they don't need a quarterback. Obviously, they've got Jimmy Garoppolo there coming back from injury, so they really don't need anything. And then offensively, there's a couple names that are sticking out to me. DK Metcalf, chief among those. But it's nobody that you need to run up and get them right now. And I think defensively, like we alluded to with the Arizona Cardinals, with as many high-powered offenses they're going to have to face in the NFC division, NFC conference, they need something on the defensive end of that ball. And right now, their defense isn't exactly screaming, "Hey, we're really good."
Yeah, I've got them taking Williams out of Alabama, the defensive tackle. A good 4-3 technique kind of guy, and with Bosa off the board, I think getting somebody that can be a run stopper in that division that has some pretty good running backs, I think will help add to that team. I also would like them probably to try and trade out of this spot, and I know that they've tried and hasn't had any success with it. So I mean, Williams and Bosa are 1 and 1A, I would say, as far as players being in the top 5 of the top 5 pick. So Williams is a good second dairy selection there for them.
Dog?
I would have to agree with Coach. I also have him taking Quinnen Williams. I think they can do what the Rams did last year and pair him with Buckner, as similar as the Rams did with Sue and Aaron Donald. Just like the NFC West has always been, and especially in the last couple of years, it's always been a very defensive-heavy division. So that just adds to it.
This one is kind of puzzling for me because I think the 49ers are going to trade. I don't think they stay at number 2. I really don't. John Lynch has done an amazing job as GM about wheeling and dealing for picks, and he's made a lot of headway in a very short amount of time. So I think he's going to look to trade down. And the only thing is who steps up in that position. I have just this sinking suspicion it's going to be Oakland. And they're going to move up, and I think they take Kyler Murray there. And they make plans for the future. So I'm going to say that the 49ers trade down. So basically the 49ers will be picking 4th And they can still get the player they want, and when we get to the 4th pick, I'll go over that. But I think the Raiders are going to make some moves, and I can see them trading up 2 spots to go get Murray. So that's what I got for that. Pad, the New York Jets are on the clock. A lot of question marks going into this season.
A little bit.
Le'Veon Bell is now in town.
Mm-hmm.
Second year of Sam Darnold.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think they're taking?
I'm going to take the name the coach and Dog said last for the 2nd pick, but for my 3rd pick simply because the Jets, they've got Sam Darnold on offense, they've got Le'Veon Bell coming on the on the running side of the ball. Defensively, you need to start a great defense, especially in the AFC East, where you've got Tom Brady, you've got Ryan Fitzpatrick, Josh Allen, in your division, where you've got a whole class of quarterbacks, and especially in the AFC, where you've got Phillip Rivers, Patrick Mahomes, Ben Roethlisberger, I'm blanking on the name, Cleveland quarterback,
Baker Mayfield.
Thank you, Baker Mayfield. When you're in the AFC conference and you've got such a class of quarterbacks, even Lamar Jackson, what are we going to see out of his 2nd year? You need a really great defense, because if you don't have a great defense, there is more than one quarterback in that conference that will light you up.
Coach?
Yeah, so I this is where I would think that somebody would try to trade out, is this position. I think the Jets desperately want out of this position, and for rightfully so. I mean, last year, ironically, they traded up into this position, so they kind of know where the feeling is. This is where I could see Washington trying to get up there, because Murray is still on my board right now. Not that I actually think Washington wants Murray, but I know that they're desperate for a quarterback right now, and it's been reported that Dan Snyder has taken over the first round of the draft from the general manager and coaching staff. So the last time he did that was 2012 or 15, where they packaged everything for Robert Griffin III. So that could be interesting play there. But all that said, I'm just going to say that the Jets stay put, and they're going to take Jawan Taylor out of Florida. Excellent pick there.
Dog, who you got them taking?
I have them going defense with the other Josh Allen in the room. Just because I think they weren't that great on defense getting to the quarterback last year, and just pairing them with Mosley that they picked up might be a good mentor.
There's going to be a lot of question marks involved in this one, too. Like I said, between the 49ers and the Jets, I think those are the two teams that are very, very anxious to get out of their current positions. Now, the Jets, like Dog alluded to, they signed C.J. Mosley. They have an emerging superstar in Jamal Adams as their safety, who is as good as it comes to that position. So their defense is getting better. And like Dog was alluding to as well, and Pat too, you play in the AFC, and especially the AFC East, with Tom Brady. Josh Allen is an emerging star in Buffalo. Not saying that because that's my team. But he is. He's emerging. And, well, we don't know what Miami's going to do. There's a lot of question marks there. But to deal with Brady twice a year, and you know that if you want to win, to get to the AFC Championship and the AFC East, you got to go through the Patriots. It is what it is. They have to shore up that defense. I think they're going to take Josh Allen out of Kentucky. And I think he can definitely fill in some holes. I mean, he's listed as an outside linebacker, but you can definitely see him playing off the edge too if they need him to. They can make some moves happen there, and I think that would be a good fit. Plus, I'd like to see Josh Allen versus Josh Allen.
Yeah,
that's twice a year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just to the Jawan Taylor, to the offensive lineman real quick, I think that they realize that the Patriots are still the class of the division right now. So what I think that they do with this pick is kind of veer towards the future with their investment in Sam Darnold, Le'Veon Bell. So that's the other reason why I have them going Taylor over Josh Allen. I mean, obviously Josh Allen is probably is the 3rd ranked player on everybody's board. Mm-hmm. So definitely he could go there. I'm just saying I think that they look to the future and not try to beat in an arms race the Patriots right now, but know that it's a long game right now, and that's what they kind of did last year, with some of the moves that they made. So I think investing in their future with an offensive lineman is a good play for them.
And especially, too, if they just paid all that money for Le'Veon Bell.
Exactly.
You need to build that line because he, I think, is going to go through a somewhat reality check. That,
yeah, just a little bit.
That the line that he had with Pittsburgh is definitely not the same as he has with the Jets currently.
No.
Yeah.
So is his stats going to go down? Is he going to be asked to do more than is expected? A lot of question marks there.
And I think the Jets have played the arms race game already with the Patriots before, and that kind of set the franchise back. So I think that they're kind of long playing this right now.
Yeah, and it's going to be really interesting to see how they do that, because I think between the Jets and the Bills, at least, Miami is in a really state of flux right now.
Yeah, they're in a bad place.
So between those two, it's when you're trying to keep up with the Patriots, you got to be really smart. And with the Jets being at such a high draft position, they have to make the most of that position, whether they trade down or take a player at that one too. Looking at number 4, it is the Oakland Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Pat, who you got there?
Well, I think whatever Oakland was going to do, in the weeks and days prior to us recording this, just within the last 24 hours got flipped on its head, because as anyone who's listening to the show now knows, Marshawn Lynch is retired from the NFL, so they've automatically got an immediate need at the running back position. So I think whatever Oakland might have done prior to today or this morning, last night, whenever it happened, I saw it this morning after I got up, did a 180 or 360, whatever you want to call it. I think they're going to take Josh Jacobs out of Alabama. I mean, you got an immediate need at running back. Got a hole you need to fix right now. Why not go for it?
Ooh, swinging for the fences. So I still have Murray on my board, and this is where I think Oakland takes Kyler Murray with the number 4 pick. This franchise right now is in complete tilt right now. I mean, it was reported last week that the John Gruden and general manager don't trust their scouting reports that they're getting right now.
Which is wild, because don't they hire those people themselves?
You would think that they at least interview them.
And Gruden has been such an amazing analyst of talent for the quarterback position,
right?
Just from what we've seen on ESPN. So I mean, he knows what he's doing. But yeah, this is wild to hear.
He says, "I like this guy a lot."
Yeah, so I think they're gonna pull. I think they're just gonna pull a knee-jerk reaction when Murray's still on the board, and they're just gonna select him here at 4.
Dog,
I got him taking Murray as well. I just think.
Dog, did you read my board before we got in here?
I just think I don't think they're set on Derek Carr, and they're going to Vegas, so you need a shiny new quarterback.
I'll say I can see him picking up Kyler Murray just because you have Derek Carr. Derek Carr is a very good quarterback as it stands right now. You can have Kyler Murray there. You can almost do like an Aaron Rodgers situation minus the Hall of Fame quarterback in front of him. You can have Kyler Murray come in there, learn the system, learn the NFL, and then when he's finally ready to play, or you ship Derek Carr off to wherever you're going to ship him off to, then you can put in Kyler Murray. And because you've seen the history before where you bring in rookie quarterbacks and just throw them to the wolves. There's been success. There's been some not so successful runs.
It's going to be interesting if Oakland stays here. Now, I mean, I have them moving up because I think, and obviously there's so much discord going on that we're hearing about between coaches and analysts and scouting teams, and it's wild to hear, because Oakland, like we've talked a little bit about in the past, has 3 number 1 picks this year.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So they can definitely fix a lot of issues they have. With Marshawn now retiring, they just made one of the big splash free agent signings of the year with Antonio Brown, getting him out of Pittsburgh. So for them, they have to think the future, and obviously if they can get Kyler Murray, like we previously stated, for the future, and sit behind Derek Carr and learn the system and become a great quarterback, much like how Aaron Rodgers sat the first year, and Baker Mayfield, well, he got thrown into the Lions Den, so to speak, when Tyrod was struggling in Cleveland. And I mean, it panned out there, but is lightning going to strike twice?
Yeah.
It's tough to say. I think Oakland takes that pick, like I previously said, but I have the Niners here trading with Oakland, and I haven't taken Quinnen Williams at number 4. I think he'll definitely shore up that defensive line, and I mean the 49ers are taking steps in the right direction, so obviously this is going to be an interesting pick at 4. If Oakland stays here, I see them taking a quarterback at this position, but I think they move up to 2 to grab a quarterback, and I think Murray's the big name on the board if Arizona passes on him. So that being said, we now go to the number 5 pick, and it's Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
So, Pad, what you got there?
I think Tampa Bay is going to take Devin White, the linebacker, out of LSU. Now, of course, they already have Carl Nassib at their left outside linebacker. But, I mean, I'm looking at their depth chart right now. They've got Devontae David listed, Kevin Minter, Shaquille Barrett, as their other linebackers. None of those names are exactly jumping out at me as like, oh, hey, this is a really good guy to shore up our linebacking core. I think, you just look at Devin White's body of work and just what he can bring to that team. I think it just adds dividends to them.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Josh Allen on this pick out of Kentucky. I think that they're gonna move him all around. I know that Tampa Bay really likes to run that amoeba, nobody has their hands in the ground style defense. They ran that a bunch of times last year. So I think Josh Allen actually fits that mold perfectly where he can, rush the quarterback with his hand in the ground or he can rush him standing. You can play him at outside linebacker in a 3-4. You can play him off the edge in 3-4 really with his size. I think he fits the Tampa Bay defensive scheme perfectly. So that's where I got Josh Allen going.
I'll say if he does go there, he'll be really chomping at the bit to go there because don't forget they have Gerald McCoy and Jason Pierre-Paul on that defense.
Oh,
already.
yeah. I mean,
he'll be chomping at the bit.
He'll definitely free up those two guys to be able to get to the quarterback, too.
I have them taking Devin White, linebacker from LSU, with losing Quan Alexander to the San Francisco 49ers. They definitely need to fill that need, and I think they've always had great linebackers, so it's just...
yeah, absolutely.
So...
This one is really interesting because obviously they got a brand new head coach in Bruce Arians in Tampa. So they got to make a lot of changes. But I have to agree with Dog and Pat on this one because obviously losing Quan Alexander to the 49ers is a big hole they need to fix right away. And at this position, I like Devin White from LSU at this. I think that he can definitely shore up that defense and do it in a hurry. And I think for the other needs that Tampa's going to have, they can definitely build later in the draft for it. But I think that this one is such a big need that they need to do that I think they have to take full advantage of it. So it's going to be really interesting to watch. We just gave the top 5 picks of the NFL draft. We're going to take a quick break, go back for 6 through 10. You are listening to the NFL draft preview on the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour podcast.
Hey, this is the King of Lyle, Luke Visengard, Gladius 205 champion, and you're listening to the ODPH.
Coming back for the second segment on this NFL draft preview on the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour podcast. We gave you the top 5 picks. Now let's go to number 6, and it is those New York Football Giants.
Hey,
Pad, who do you think they're taking at 6?
Well, Ken, I'm going to ask you a question. I could ask Coach this question, but, we'd be here for an hour and a half. Ken, what has been the Giants' biggest kind of glaring hole the last 2 years?
Offensive line.
That's why I think with the 6th overall pick in the NFL draft, the New York Football Giants will take Jonah Williams from Alabama to really shore up that line and get Eli some help.
Hey, that's a very good idea. Coach,
you want me to go last, or you want me to go now?
You know what? I think let's go to Dog first because
right.
we're gonna give you the floor for this one because I know you want to go off on this. Dog, who you got? The Giants taking at 6.
I have them taking Devin Bush, inside linebacker from Michigan. I think they'll wait if they're going to take a quarterback until their second pick in the first round. I just think they lost. They traded Vernon to Brown, and they've always had great linebackers. So, I think it's time for them to really put their stock into their defense this time.
It's not a bad idea too, but I have to agree with Pad. Eli is not the issue per se. He's getting up there in years. But it doesn't matter who you have at quarterback if you can't keep him upright to throw the ball downfield.
So when you got the man running around the field with the Yakety Sax, Benny Hill theme music running, 17 weeks out of the year, it ain't matter how good a quarterback you got. If he ain't standing there and throwing the ball and handing it off without worrying who's running up his blind side, it doesn't matter.
Right. So this pick is a no-brainer for me personally. I would say Jawan Taylor from Florida, who I think is the best offensive lineman in the draft. I think he would definitely help that Giants line, especially with Saquon Barkley being their number 1 pick last year, and look what he did with a bad line. So imagine if he actually had a very decent and compatible line, he could definitely put up some more numbers too. And especially a lot's going to get asked from the offense with the loss of Odell Beckham now in Cleveland. I think I've said enough about the Giants. I can see Coach is seething, ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Duffy.
All right, so the offensive line, albeit that it was not good, was not as bad as people thought that it played, especially once Eric Flowers was taken out of the lineup. The right side of the line played a lot better, and you, for example, look at the game against Houston, where they were pretty much able to stop J.J. Watt and that vaunted defensive line from sacking Eli. They may have got him once or twice, but that's a defensive line that should have been feasting, and they were able to stop him. So I actually, Dog and I, again, on the same page here. I think they go defense. I still have Devin White on the board, and from everything that I've read as far as, Giants media personnel and people that report on the team have wrote that the Giants are in love with Devin White. They like his tape. They like his interview that he had. Obviously, the talk has been quarterback. I really don't think that they pursue that here, and I think they try and shore up defense because while Dog said earlier the Giants have had good linebackers, they really haven't had them since the Super Bowl runs that they had. And, middle linebacker used to be a position of confidence for the Giants with Antonio Pierce and Michael Barrows, being in the middle there. Since those guys have left, the linebacking core has been a mess. You want to talk about the offensive line being a mess. Linebacker has been a position of just absolute struggle. And I think, with the defensive coordinator that the Giants have and the type of style defense that they play, you have to have a smart middle linebacker that can not only cover, but can also, get after the quarterback. And I think Devin White can do that.
Not a bad idea, but you are the Giants aficionado in here, so I am taking that.
Some analyst there.
I'm taking that as a lock. I know we're not even talking locks and leaves yet, but I'm taking that as a lock. Now going to pick number 7, and that belongs to the Jacksonville Jaguars, a very puzzling team in their own right, who are coming off of, dare I say, one of the more disappointing seasons last year.
I liked them a lot.
Talk to big talk. Couldn't walk that wall.
No, when Jalen Ramsey did his GQ interview and calling out every quarterback in the league, I think that was kind of a foreshadowing of how the season was going to be. Blake Bortles obviously couldn't rekindle the magic. He's no longer there. They made a big signing with Nick Foles now out of Philadelphia to shore up their quarterback position. So a lot of expectations are going to be on Jacksonville. Now, what they do with this pick, Pad, what you got?
I think they're going to take one of the two Iowa tight ends in the draft. T.J. Hawkinson, I think is how you say his name. You look at the offensive side of the ball for Jacksonville. They signed Nick Foles. We all know that he's going to. If the history is there, like we've seen the last 2 years, he's going to be very good. They've got Leonard Fournette at running back, and then for the receiving core, they've got Marquise Lee and Dede Westbrook. But you look at their current depth chart. Jeff Swaim, and I apologize if I'm saying that name wrong, is listed as their first tight end. I'm sorry, but I'm looking at the stats. I don't exactly have a lot of faith in his body of work. I think they look to shore up that offense and get some more offensive weapons for Nick Foles, because you look at what he had in Philly. Obviously, we'll see, but on paper, TJ Hawkinson might not be the next Zach Ertz in terms of tight ends, but he might be a good fill-in for Nick Foles without having Zach Ertz.
Fair point.
Yeah, that's to me, that's early to be taking a tight end that's not named Jeremy Shockey out of this draft. So I got them taking Jonah Williams, the offensive lineman out of Alabama that's projected as pretty much being able to play either guard or tackle. I think that they can move him either way and play either spot. I just think shoring up the offensive line and being that he's probably the best player on the board right now, is probably the best pick to protect Nick Foles.
Dog?
I have them taking T.J. Hawkinson as well. Tight end out of Iowa. I just think they need playmakers on offense. He's a good run blocker too, which helps with Fournette and all that. And they really haven't had a dynamic tight end since Julius Thomas. So
you bring up a lot of good points, Dog, and I have to agree. I think they're going to take somebody on offense for this pick, but I am with Coach. I think they're taking Jonah Williams. I think that they need to fix the offensive line, especially with Fournette. You don't know what you're going to get out of him. I mean, when he's on the field, he plays very brilliant. He's a hard-hitting running back, one of the hardest hitting running backs in all the NFL. But he does have injury issues. So I don't think they're going to take a running back at this position, but you just made that big money investment in Nick Foles. You have to protect him. And Williams is a no-brainer at this position. I don't doubt them taking a tight end too, but I just think if I'm looking at it, Foles can make magic happen with their wide receiver core. And I think they'll get a tight end later, but I think that they have to look at it, Jacksonville, and go, okay, we just paid all this money for Nick Foles. He is going to be the one that gets us over the hump, so to speak, and gets us a deep run in the playoffs, maybe Super Bowl. We have to protect him. Williams is a no-brainer for me here. And that's where I think they're taking him. Now we're going to take a look at Detroit and see what they have up there. Pad, what you got?
I think they're going to take Josh Allen out of Kentucky. Of course, you know, the head coach over there is the former defensive coordinator from New England. And if there's anything I know about his body of work when he was the defensive coordinator in New England, he can do a lot of weird things with the defense that a lot of teams might not expect or plan for. And I think it just kind of Josh Allen could just kind of play to that, and he could have him play 3-4 different positions in a quarter alone and just have real fun with him. And once he gets a lot of his guys that work in his system into that team, I think the Detroit Lions will see a lot of improvement on the defensive side of the ball.
I mean, I am taking Montez Sweet, and pretty much for the same reason that Pad just listed for Josh Allen, who is off my board, is the reason why they take Montez Sweet. I mean, really, that's really it.
Dog, what you got?
I have them taking Ed Oliver, defensive tackle from Houston. I think he's just I've read that he's a versatile defensive lineman and can play all positions. They lost Anza, and I think they've really never replaced Dominican Sue, so they probably need help on defense.
I have to agree. In that division, they have a resurging Chicago Bears. You still have Aaron Rodgers, the king of the North. And you have a Minnesota Viking team that did pay a lot of money for Kirk Cousins. And if he's on the field and he's going to have a second year under his belt with that team, they can make a lot of damage. So for Detroit, their one glaring hole is on offense, and their running game is, always been kind of suspect. But I don't think they go here. I think they go defense, and in fact, I think they stay very close to home, taking Rashawn Gary out of Michigan, the defensive end. I think that helps a lot. I think they definitely need to get some pressure on the quarterbacks with Trubisky and Rodgers and Cousins. They definitely need to get more pressure on and get them off the field quicker than they've been doing past couple seasons. Matthew Stafford is Detroit through and through. He will keep them in every game he's on the field. He pulls magic out a lot, and he keeps them in games that they should be blown out of. If they can give him a little more help on the offensive side later in the rounds, and I think there's a lot of quality players to help him there, they can definitely make a deep run. But defense is going to come first here, and I think they keep close to home. And like I said, Gary is a perfect fit for them, in my opinion. Now it is number 9, those Buffalo Bills. Pad, who do you think they're taking?
I think they're going to take Noah Fant, of course, the other tight end from Iowa in the draft. You look at the offensive side of the ball for the Buffalo Bills. They've got, of course, Josh Allen as their quarterback, Shady McCoy as their running back. They've got Josh Brown and Zay Jones as wide receiver. Who's their tight end, Ken, might I ask?
That is a good question because Charles Clay is no longer in Buffalo.
Nope. It is currently listed as Tyler Croft, who I'm looking at his stats here, courtesy of ESPN.com. 4 catches, 36 yards for all of 2018. Yeah, that's not exactly instilling a bit of confidence in me. I think Noah Fant, of course, is the way they'll go. Of course, he had the 40 time in the combine that I can't remember specifically. It rivaled or it was faster than DeAndre Hopkins' 40 time a couple years ago. Lightning fast tight end, can obviously get some good run blocking, get some openings, and they've seen what can happen with a good receiving tight end in the NFL from their time watching Rob Gronkowski do it. I think they can have a lot of fun with him on the offensive side of the ball.
Coach?
So I actually have the Bills as looking to trade out of this spot for a team trying to find a quarterback to move up with the fear of them starting to fall off the board, because right now you're looking at Haskins. At least in my board, you have Haskins, Jones, and Drew Lock still available. So I look for a team to try and slide up into this 9 spot to land a quarterback. But all that being said, if no team tries to get up, I originally had penned in here DK Metcalf, the wide receiver, then realized that Ed Oliver has slipped down my board, and that is a name that cannot slip out of the top 10. So I have Buffalo taking Ed Oliver, the defensive lineman. You can't let this type of talent, because he can play in a 3-4. He can play the nose. He can also play in a 4-3 and play the two down. So he's too much of a talent to pass up at that spot.
Dog?
I have them going offensive line with Jawan Taylor from Florida. I believe they did sign a couple offensive linemen in the offseason, but offensive line depth and defensive line depth, he can never have enough. So I think, and especially with having a young QB, I think that's where they go.
You know, there's so many ways they can go with this pick that honestly, if they take one of the names I'm going to mention, I'm happy with as a Bills fan. I do agree, Dog, that Jawan Taylor, if he is there, I think they should take him at 9. I don't think he's going to be there, though, unfortunately. I think that is where they should go, because the Bills have been making very solid moves, not really flashy moves, and I am just happy they dodged the Antonio Brown fiasco completely, because that would have been disastrous in Buffalo. Disastrous. Can I say egregious? I will,
especially if they were giving up this 9 pick for him.
Yeah.
I will say this, as a non-Bills fan and having watched the NFL draft with you for a number of years, ever since the E.J. Manuel draft, you have been very happy with the Bills pick selections.
Yes. Yeah, the EJ.
I was in the room for the E.J. Manuel selection with him. Let's just say he was less than happy.
Yeah, I'm just thank God that they did not have me on videotape for that, because I did like EJ, but definitely not at pick 15. No way, no how. So that being said, not to bash on EJ, because I actually did like EJ up in Buffalo. This pick, I have to say, I would go tight end, and I would go with T.J. Hockenson from Iowa. I think he is the overall best tight end to take. And I think for Josh Allen, every rookie quarterback, and let's be honest, I mean, you play 1 year, you're still kind of a rookie going into your second. You haven't mastered the position by any means. A tight end is a quarterback's best friend, especially a young quarterback. And for the Bills, they made some great moves on their wide receiver core with Josh Brown and Cole Beasley, who are very solid receivers. Are they true number ones? No, but they can definitely move the chains, and that's what Josh Allen needs to do. But if he has a true tight end in Hockenson, who can definitely do pass blocking, he can definitely run down the field, he can stretch the offense out, and he can make room for the vast running back core that they just acquired out of nowhere. I mean, they have Shady McCoy, they just signed TJ Yeldon, and they have Frank Gore, and I believe there was a rugby player that I'm missing that they're actually signed to. They have gone and they've really added some depth to the position. And I know if they can definitely move the ball on the ground, which they've had great success doing, they're going to make a run this year. I truly feel it. Not saying as the fan in me, but just the outside looking in. But for me, Hockenson is who I would take here if Taylor is off the board, but I don't doubt them taking Metcalf either here too. I think that they're going to go on the offensive side.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously with the Antonio Brown fiasco that happened, that's why I had Metcalf penned in, but that's just so early to take a wide receiver that's really not elite number. I mean, okay, could he be elite number 1? Yes, but like numbers wise, college statistics wise, I don't know if he's worth a top 10 pick.
I agree.
That's why I think trading out would be good for Buffalo in this spot.
It would be smart, but I think that at this position, or this place at 9, they got a lot of different directions they could go that would add value.
Oh, for sure.
And so that's why I think they stay. I don't think they do trade. I mean, they did enough trading over the past couple of years, and obviously getting Josh Allen, and he's turned out to be a lot better than I think we were all initially expecting to be at this age. I just wish he would stop hurtling defenders. That is my biggest fear with him.
This ain't the Olympics.
Well, that's why it's, it makes sense for that. Because, I mean, if you look at the board, this is a real spot where, for me at least, I have quarterbacks starting to fall. Mm-hmm. So this 9th spot could be the bridge that, a team like Miami who needs a quarterback, Washington, a team that needs a quarterback, the Giants obviously have talked quarterback. This would be the position to jump, those teams. And Denver, obviously, this could be a position to jump your quarterback, especially if you like Drew Lock, to get, because that's where I'm going at 10, but we'll get into that in a second.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see him trading with all those teams except Miami. I think they would hang up the phone on Miami and not even...
Oh, man, you can't. Come on. If you get the right offer, you can't. This is business, baby. This is business.
I fully see them going, nope, we're rebuilding. We're going in the right direction. We're not helping our enemies out here. Or our rivals, should I say.
I mean, depending on what you get back, you might be hurting your rival.
Yeah, it depends. All depends, but
I mean, look what St. Louis was, or at the time St. Louis was able to do with Washington. That set that franchise back 5 years.
It is true, but like I said, I just don't see the Bills trading out.
Sure.
And especially not with Miami. But if the right offer hits them, sure. But this position, I think at 9, they can add a valued player to a position they need to fill a hole in. So a lot of different ways they can go, but like I said, Hawkinson is the guy who I think they're going to take here. And to round out the top 10 is Denver. Mm-hmm. Now, Denver just added Joe Flacco.
Yep.
And they're kind of a team in flux.
Yeah.
That we really don't know what they're going to go with, but they are making some moves on the defensive side of the ball, so a lot of ways they can go with this pick. Pat, who you got at number 10?
Well, let's be real. Denver needs a lot. They've got a lot of holes to fill in their whole organization in terms of playing football. They, like you said, they do have Joe Flacco, but the thing of it is Joe Flacco is 34 years old. As of January 16th, he's getting a little up there in age. I think that's why they're going to go with Coach mentioned it, Drew Lock, the quarterback out of Missouri. Joe Flacco is a good quarterback. You look at his statistics from last year, just over 2,400 yards passing, 12 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Very, very serviceable numbers. He will get the job done for you, but I think you need to start looking long term when you're bringing in a quarterback who's 34 years of age. His years are more behind him than they are ahead of him. I think that's why they're going to take, the guy the quarterback out of Missouri and start, much like we mentioned earlier, he may not start immediately, but you have him sit behind Flacco, learn the system and learn the NFL before you finally put him in.
Coach?
Yeah, I got Drew Lock here. I think that John Elway, seeing that he's a big, tall, stay in the pocket type passer, who can run if need be, obviously sees a lot probably of what he wants in his quarterback position in this kid. They throw a lot in Missouri, which is, I think, what John Elway would like to do in Denver. So I think that the opportunity to not pass up on the quarterback, especially given the fact that they did just go out to get Flacco, and the age is a real deal. Mm-hmm. This isn't just, a plug-and-play type move. This was we're going to get Flacco, and hopefully he can help groom whoever we get next.
Dog?
I have them going quarterback as well, but I have them going with Dwayne Haskins out of Ohio State. Like we all said before, I think with essentially trading Case Keenum for Joe Flacco, I think they will need to eventually replace the position. And Haskins, I just think being in the Big Ten, I think he faced a lot more good defenses, so unlike the other conferences.
I have to agree with everybody here. I think Denver definitely goes quarterback here. Flacco is on the downside of the career, and he's going up against Father Time. This is not a slight to him. It is what it is. And being at 34, he can play a couple more seasons at a high level and have a quarterback learn behind him, I think is a smart move to do. So that being said, I think I'm going to join Coach and Pat on this one. I think they take Drew Lock. I think that he has a little better arm strength, and throwing in the Denver thin air, he's going to need that more than Haskins. But I could see them taking Haskins here too, because Haskins is a very accurate quarterback. So it's kind of like a 1A, 1B here for me. But I do like Lock a little better for the Denver elements, and what John Elway would want is just somebody with a big arm to throw in that inclement weather. So Lock makes a lot of sense here, but I definitely think it's going to be quarterback, win, lose, or draw. That's who they're taking here. So we gave you 6 through 10. We gave you the top 10 of the NFL draft, who we think everybody's taken. But hit us up on that hashtag ODPH. Who do you think is going to be taken in the top 10? We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
2, 3, 4. Hey, this is Johnny Moose from Excite Wrestling, and you're listening to the ODPH. I didn't mess it up. I thought I would. Right now, back to the guys.
Coming back for the final segment on this special NFL Draft edition of the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour podcast. We went through the top 10, but some of our panel is having their teams draft later in the first round. So we definitely have to have them give their piece on their team. So starting with Dog, representing the Seattle Seahawks. Who the Seahawks taking?
Well, now they have the 21st pick, but they also just acquired Kansas City's first round pick, which is 29th, with the trading of Frank Clark, which was probably kind of a cap casualty with signing Wilson, but I have them going replacing Frank Clark and going with Montez Sweat from defensive end from Mississippi State. And I think they'll either trade down the 29th pick, because they only have like 5 picks this year, which they have a lot next year, but I just think they'll either take another defensive player with the 29th pick or trade down and trade out, because they're always known for trading out from the first round and acquiring additional picks.
Pad?
Well, the Patriots, obviously, having won the Super Bowl, have the last pick in the NFL draft. In my wildest dreams, they would get DK Metcalf, but I don't think that's going to happen. As much as I would love it. I think if they can't get DK Metcalf, you obviously need to fill the void that is left by Rob Gronkowski at tight end. I think TJ Hawkinson, of course, and Noah Fant are probably going to both be off the board by the time, pick number 32 rolls around. That's assuming the Patriots don't trade up or anything. I think that being said, they might go with Irv Smith Jr., the tight end out of Alabama. Patriots, of course, the last couple of years have had very good success with players taken out of Alabama. Looking at you, Donta Hightower. I think they might go that route with it.
And there's also one more number 1 pick for the New York Giants, so take it away, Coach.
Yeah, the trade with Cleveland. What a great trade. Odell Beckham, goodbye. In place of him is DK Metcalf. I have him falling to the Giants at 17. I know it's not a position of need. I just think that they take the best player on the board at that point, and I think that they're going to have Metcalf there. And obviously, they got to fill the void that is left by Odell Beckham. And I think what Metcalf brings is a little bit of size to the wide receiver position, which is something that the Giants have desperately missed since, Hakeem Nicks has left.
I'll say he is listed at 6'3", 228 pounds. That's a big boy.
Eli has always played better with wide receivers that have size versus speed, and that is exactly what DK Metcalf can do for them.
Fair points. You know what? The NFL draft is going to be very fascinating to watch as it kicks off on Thursday this week and goes Thursday, Friday, Saturday. This is, like we said previously, there's a lot of hope and there's a lot of optimism for every team. And we've given you our picks of what our teams think they should be doing and kind of what we as fans want to see done. But it's going to go all through the weekend. So instead of rounding the bases, we're just going to call this rounding the sidelines. And I want from the panel one player that we should be watching that maybe isn't going to go the first round, but is going to be a quality player that you're going to see drafted on day 2 or day 3. Starting with Pat.
Okay, I'm going to look at the quarterback position because there's been a lot made about Kyler Murray and Dwayne Haskins, and deservedly so. They're both very good quarterbacks. But I think one quarterback that might be getting a little overlooked, maybe not as much TV time as he might be deserving, is Ryan Finley, the quarterback out of NC State, listed at 6'4", 213 pounds. The things I've read about this kid is, he's tall, lean, and he is very fast eyes and can go through his progressions very quickly. I think that as a quarterback that might get overlooked a little bit, and that a team might look at and go, you know what, this might be our guy. Let's go for him.
I could definitely see him being a replacement for Roethlisberger down the road, so I don't doubt the Steelers taking him on day 2 or day 3.
So they do like their tall, lean quarterbacks.
Absolutely, and I think he'd be a perfect fit for them. Coach, who do you have?
It's noted my love of Notre Dame football, so I will give you a name to look out for and I'll try to keep it limited to just one, although I think all of them will be solid NFL players. Julian Love is my day 2, day 3 guy to look out for, the corner who was robbed of winning the Defensive Corner of the Year award. He played tremendous playing the he not only played the boundary at times but also played the field. And in that game against Clemson, yes, I know Notre Dame lost. Yes, I know it was bad. Julian Love got injured midway through that game, and that really changed the course of their defense, because he was a position player that was able to do so many things, whether it's stop the run or play the pass. So I really like a team to land Julian Love on day 2 or day 3.
Fair enough. Dog, who do you have?
I have the lineman out of Boston College, Chris Listrom. He's
Okay.
a very versatile offensive lineman. I've seen him in mock drafts anywhere going from possibly 12 to the Packers to, I mean, he could be somebody that I think can go very high or maybe slip into the second round and still be a good value pick.
Right on. I have a couple that were really kind of jumping out at me. I mean, first and foremost is Deebo Samuel from South Carolina, the wide receiver. I think he's going to definitely add some value on day 2. I don't see him going in the first round, but I could see him going definitely in the second or third. I think he's got some very high potential for being a very good NFL receiver, and definitely in the right system, I think he could go well. I mean, Pittsburgh could definitely use another receiver to balance out Juju Schuster-Smith. I could definitely see that happening. I don't know if they're going to take him. I could definitely see, though, too, another player that's jumping on me is David Long, the cornerback from Michigan. I could see him taken on day 3, and I think he could definitely add some value to some defenses coming down the road there. And my last one, which I think Coach will be very happy about, is Miles Boykin.
Absolutely.
Wide receiver from Notre Dame. I think he could go definitely late. I mean, I don't think he's going to go in day 1 or day 2, but I could definitely see him winding up on a roster and adding some value too.
Yeah, he had a great combine, a lot better than I think a lot of people projected him to have, and that was a huge loss for Notre Dame, him leaving early. It was definitely devastating. I think whoever gets him is going to get a really good football player, though, because he has great natural chemistry and good route running that, was able to help, Ian Book get assimilated into the offense. And even when Wimbush was there, he was still almost like a safety valve. And, I mean, just one other guy that I like to just name out real quick because I love and respect the game that he plays is Drew Tranquill.
Oh, yes.
Who is could play inside or outside linebacker, who was a do-it-all man for Notre Dame. He played 2 games with a broken hand. With a broken hand at linebacker. So, I mean, you want to talk about a guy with mental fortitude and toughness that will add something to a special teams or, as a third down long type situation to cover the pass. Drew Tranquill's your man.
Final thoughts on the NFL draft before we close out the show, Pat?
Definitely going to be interesting to see this year. At least for me, there doesn't seem to be a lot of names jumping out of like, oh, these are going to be the guys, whatever order they end up being that you're going to see go in the top 5, top 10. There's some names and there's some, there are obviously some names that they're going to go, but just to me, there seems to be a lot more question than certainty.
Yeah, I mean, this is my favorite time of year right now as far as getting ready for football season. There's a real lull after this as far as sports goes for me because, basketball is starting to wind down and baseball picks up and, it's kind of a quiet season. I'll go into my hibernation, shortly thereafter because, I'm just not a baseball guy. So, I mean, I love this. I love the draft. I love the speculation. And, yeah, like Pat said, I don't see outside the top 5 really any true talent that's going to make or break a team, but I definitely see that this is going to be a defensive heavy draft and there's going to be some cornerstone pieces that your defense is going to be able to at least use in situations to build upon going forward. And I mean, they might not be Pro Bowl players, all of them, but there's definitely some good defensive talent. Dog?
I think with the draft being covered by 3 different networks, we're not seeing like we saw last year with Baker Mayfield coming out and saying Cleveland saying there's going to be the number 1 pick. So I just like that uncertainty. Like you don't hear 2 days or a week before like in previous years like who's going to be the number 1 pick, and just I think was just the number of networks covering it'll add a bit of good intrigue that it probably needs.
Well, I just want to add the dog real quick. I mean, the best thing that they've done was structure the rookie deals because that was half the problem was that they were allowed to negotiate, terms up until the pick or, until they draft the player. So now that that's gone, it adds a little bit of intrigue and mystery, and that's just good for us as fans.
Absolutely. I've been to one NFL draft in my life. It is an experience that is very hard to describe because you see fans from teams all over the league, all over the world arrive. And you can definitely know if it's a good pick or it's a bad pick based on that crowd reaction because, trust me, it's a very loud and vibrant crowd.
Yeah.
And they will let you know what they think of the pick. And this is one like we keep harping about, too. This shows so much optimism. It's the official kickoff to the NFL season, in my opinion. Like I say, free agency is one thing, but this is where teams make or break their season. A great draft makes a great team. A bad draft sets your team back years. Starting on Thursday, April 25th, round 1. It's going to be on the NFL Network and ESPN, NFL.com for more information.
ABC.
And ABC too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, day one, right?
Yeah, with the college game day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're going to be breaking down stuff.
Very interesting. I mean, this just shows them how big of an event this is. And, I mean, obviously, day one is going to be very interesting with the amount of people going to see Avengers Endgame, too.
I think
ratings are going to be interesting.
Yeah, it will be. I think Good Morning America is even doing a live broadcast from or having people there at the draft that morning.
If I'm not mistaken, Robin Roberts will be there.
Yeah, so I mean, my God, the coverage. But I mean, they're trying to do everything probably to kick the end game thing. I mean, that's actually pretty fun, to think about. Like, there's going to be a lot of people at Endgame maybe checking their phones once they get status updates.
Yeah, it's just going to be a very interesting time in pop culture and just in sports culture, too.
Dog's like, yeah.
Yeah, Dog will have his phone on in the theater, but just make sure it's on vibrate.
If I was in that theater, Dog, you and me would be outside, homie.
Yeah.
You put that phone away, people.
Exactly. Don't take pictures of the film, and if you're going to be watching, even if your team is doing well or doing bad, don't yell your pick out.
Wait till Friday then if you don't want to miss the draft.
Absolutely. Thursday is round 1 starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Friday, April 26th is rounds 2 and 3 starting at 7 Eastern Time. Saturday starts at noon for rounds 4 through 7. So definitely stay tuned for that. The NFL draft is going to kick off the season right. That's all we got for this week. So for our panel, starting with Nostradogmus, thank you for coming on the show.
Good night and good luck.
For your coach, my coach, the coach, Coach Duffy.
Draft Daniel Jones, Gettleman, and we riot.
For Padawan J.
Thank you.
I'm your host, Ken M. Thank you, as always, for listening to this special edition of the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, #ODPH podcast. We'll see you next time.